Yeah, it's interesting at the Combine. You look at the drills, and we see those all during the night, and we talk about the drills. But really the talk is about free agency, which is about to start next week, and it's going to be a bonanza. And the talk is that, well, Kyler Murray could be on his way. And barring a trade in the next couple of days, it looks like Kyler Murray very likely will be released and will have an opportunity to explore free agency. The question is, does Kyler Murray want to go for the most dollars available to a team that might be struggling and have a chance to actually make another boatload of dollars? Or does Kyler Murray want to go to a place to rehab his career and give himself a chance to win? Minnesota has been a place that has been talked about a ton. Obviously, J.J. McCarthy is there entering his third year of his career, but Kyler Murray would be there to push him and potentially challenge him for that role. Could Kyler Murray say, I'm going to take less dollars, but I'm going to go to Minnesota to potentially win that job and then rehab my career and parlay it into a different second chapter of his story?
Do you like it?
Love it. He's going to be 29 years old, Greeny. He started 87 games, and with that offense led by Justin Jefferson, if I was a quarterback and I could be coached by Kevin O'Connell with all those weapons they have in Minnesota, I would walk from Phoenix to Minnesota. And by the way, I wouldn't give up on J.J. McCarthy, who's 23 years old and has started 10 games, by the way. But they need competition, and with his athleticism and arm strength, they'll be able to get the ball down the field to arguably the best receiver in Justin Jefferson.
I only like it. I do not love it. If I were Minnesota, I'll go back to last week. My number one goal, trade for Mac Jones. Number two would be Aaron Rodgers, and then I would entertain Kyler. This is why I only like it. Kyler still, in Kyler's words, I want to be a playmaker. I want to be a playmaker. I want to be a playmaker. That's not the role of the quarterback in this offense. And this offense, point guard. That's why you see some guys that maybe aren't these wow physical talents thrive because they don't rely on like, oh, okay, let me go be the guy above the X's and O's. And that's why you sit there and go, there's guys that I sit there and say from a skill set make more sense. I'd also say this is, and I think the world of Kevin O'Connell. This is his first adversity, I feel, as a head coach. You know, coming off of we moved on from Sam, that's an organizational, this is an enormous signing. You have everybody else in your locker room you have to pay attention to. It can't just be about J.J. McCarthy's feelings and are we going to stunt his growth. You have a Hall of Fame caliber wide receiver that a year was wasted because of the
2 touchdowns.
Yeah. You know, it's like this is a big decision by Kevin O'Connell for his locker room.
Can I give you 2 more names that were buzzing there and tell me what you guys think on this? Daniel Jones is a possibility for Minnesota. And I know you say, well, Daniel Jones is going to go to the Colts. No. There's a chance the Colts transition him. There's also a chance that they don't. And then Daniel Jones is a pure free agent. He was there for half the season, and O'Connell and him got along. The other name, if he's released by the Las Vegas Raiders, Geno Smith is a possibility. It's more of that veteran voice. Hey, JJ, we're going to have a veteran voice in the locker room that maybe you didn't have last year.
You like those better?
I like both Daniel Jones and Geno Smith better than Kyler Murray.
For that offense?
Correct.
Specifically,
I just think,
final word.
Yeah, Daniel Jones, I don't see it in Minnesota. They're right now $60 million over the cap. For them to get a player on a transition tag, they would have to front load the deal. I think that would be a really heavy lift.
All right, we have so much to do, as you can already get a sense. We got the Baskets tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern time. Meanwhile, on Friday, the Cowboys placed their franchise tag on George Pickens. That's no surprise. It gives him a guaranteed salary of just under $27.3 million. After finishing last year below 500, Jerry Jones told reporters at the Combine that he has every intention of doing something differently this offseason from the way he's always done it in the past. Listen.
I would bet that we will spend more money in free agency than we have. I look at where we are with Dak, and I look at where he is in his career, and I look at some of the pluses that we have on our front and what we think we can do there and what we can do with Pickens and Lamb and what we can do with our running back that we just signed. And so all of those things, I want to do everything we possibly can to stop somebody and to basically win some third downs more than we did last year. And so I think that would be the area that you would see me bust the budget.
Bust the budget, says Jerry Jones. Who is it that made the analogy this morning on the call? It's like Dad has just said, we're going to go out to an expensive restaurant. We're going to finally spend some money. We've been waiting and waiting. Is this about to be a transformative offseason for Jerry Jones and the Cowboys?
Greeny, they're certainly on the precipice of it. And let me tell you why. They have 2 first-round picks. They have a lot of different levers they can pull on the salary cap. Adam Schefter tweeted about it. from Dak Prescott all the way through CeeDee Lamb. There's about 5 or 6 guys. They could create a massive amount of room. So if you think about urgent needs that they have, pass rusher, corner, they could certainly create the room to go get a Trey Hendrickson and then go draft a corner. They have a championship offense. If they're middle of the road on defense, guys, they have a real chance.
So we were talking about whether their window was closing. We talked about that a lot lately. Dan, what do you think of that window?
I really think a new window is starting if they hit this offseason the right way. I firmly believe that they've less than 5% of the money that the Cowboys have presently allocated to their team is spent on free agents. Yet this has been a good football team for the better part of half of a decade. So that tells you Will McClay, who's really like the person choosing their players in many ways, it tells you the job he's done. They're 2 or 3 players away on defense from all of a sudden becoming real contenders. Totally agree on their offense. They got to get Pickens to at least play on the tag. They'll figure that out, hopefully. But if they can get a backer, an edge rusher, and a secondary player that are high-end players, that defense gets solid, and now we're talking about a team that contends.
I want to set the stage in Indy. Everyone's there, all the teams, except for maybe the Jaguars and the Rams, and you have your people, and they wear their team paraphernalia. Where you walk down the street, downtown Indianapolis, there is a giant luxury bus with the star on it. And that is Jerry and Steven, and they want themselves to be known. We are here. We are glamour. We are the Cowboys. And when Jerry's talking like this, it means this might be the offseason they actually open their wallets and spend. I would point to Christian Parker, a name that might not be as familiar with everybody, a 34-year-old who they hired as their new defensive coordinator. Comes from the Eagles, where he was their defensive backs coach. He does a lot of that too-high safety shell and is one of these guys that brings a spirit and a youth, and they're going to need him to coach his butt off because that defense was atrocious last year.
That's why I would raid Seattle if I was Dallas. I mean, Dallas's defense was so bad last year. You talk about the too-high shell and this defense needing perimeter players or secondary players. They were beat so often in coverage. Can you get Kobe Bryant from Seattle?
Tariq Woolen's a free agent.
Tariq Woolen from Seattle. Boye Mafe from Seattle. There's people there that if you pick the right ones in Dallas, you hit.
Okay, so we've got that side of it. Jerry Jones says he's going to spend money. We'll see if they can redo the defense. There is also this lingering issue on the offense. Is the George Pickens thing going to be simple to get accomplished?
It'll be impossible, Greeny. If you said, I'm saying the date of September 1st, I'm taking later, and here's why. We go back a year ago with Micah Parsons. That deal should have been 10 minutes. Highest paid pass rusher, done. This deal is going to be like Dallas saying, hey, T. Higgins is at $28 million. We're going to make you the highest paid second receiver. He's going to say, absolutely no way. Look at my production last year. I am a #1 receiver. This deal is impossible to get done, and I'm telling you, we're going to be talking about it September 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Well, hold on. So you tell me it's impossible to get done. Does that mean he's not going to play? Like, what does that mean to you?
That's up to him then, right?
Yeah, I think what happens, he, like most franchise players that are disgruntled, he'll show up the Tuesday before opening day so he doesn't miss a paycheck. But I just don't see a long-term deal getting done because they're not going to pay him as a frontline #1 receiver, which is what he's going to want.
That's a problem for Dallas. Like, that totally changes everything because if he's going to miss this whole offseason and then training camp, we know what that looks like. We know the player's more than likely going to get injured on some soft tissue, God forbid. He's more than likely not going to produce the same way. And so if you're Dallas, I understand the impossible thing, but if you're Dallas, you can't throw away this year. This is a really important year. There's a window that
But there's nothing in their DNA over the last 10 years, going back to Zeke Elliott, that says they're going to be proactive and aggressive with their own guys.
Not to mention the fact that I'm not sure it makes sense to give George Pickens a top-of-the-line contract when you need to redo your defense and you have CeeDee Lamb. I mean,
it's the luxury. It's the luxury of through a collective bargaining agreement, they have the ability to use the franchise tag. It's what the players agreed to. So as much as he can kick and scream, and his agent will definitely do his best to get him a long-term deal and big money this offseason, it's kind of the situation that the players put themselves in. It was a one-year prove-it deal for George Pickens. He proved it. Now the team is able to say, we're going to tag you. We're sorry. Is he going to miss all those paychecks this summer? You think that's the wisest thing if you're George Pickens, especially if you want to hit free agency next year?
Can someone trade for him?
Yes.
Sure.
And what's it going to cost somebody
on the
to
tag,
trade for him?
it's 2 ones.
Yeah,
isn't it?
no one's going to give up 2 ones. I mean, could somebody potentially give up a first-round pick? I doubt it, given all the receivers in this year's draft. But is that a possibility? Absolutely.
There's also the reputation of George Pickens, which is unfair to him because last year he actually went for 1,400 yards and was the best player on the Cowboys team. But there's this reputation that let's see it when the money's not dangling in front of you. Let's see it when the carrot's not there. Of course, he has the history and why he was traded for a third-round pick by the Pittsburgh Steelers.
So we'll wait and see. So again, for the Cowboys, there's always the little bit of drama circling around the otherwise good news. And then there are their rivals. Will the Eagles